Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
Today's guest hails from the United States of America, like me, but currently I'm living in Thailand. We were talking about, welcome Nicole Borghi. If I mispronounced your name, correct me as we stand, because it's a lot more challenging than Smith.
That is true. It's Borghi. And I know who I am, so say it however you want. I'm glad to be recognized at all.
Well, we all need recognition, and that's going to be the thrust of our show today, is about recognition with a mission. And I think your mission and your purpose is unique and special, and you also bring out that element in others. And sometimes, you know, there are virtual stages. I specialize in live in-person stages, have for decades, and your specialty is digital. You're more current. And I think a lot of this got spawned by COVID. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. I had to step away from a 25-year career because of that. The big craziness went on, and it forced a lot of people online, and it even into virtual reality. So it was like, hey, what can I do online from my home or from anywhere that I'm going, even if I had an RV life? What can I do? How can I generate income? How can I get seen and heard?
Yeah, and tell us about your mission and what caused you to go in this direction from where you were with a 25-year career.
Well, a lot of my mission and purpose was to be into servitude. Really, at that time, I had just stopped working with patients in hospice and going over there and trying to see what do I need to do with my life. This doesn't seem to be going anywhere, especially in Vegas. It was a very hands-on job in security. And I know a lot of people don't realize there's a lot going on with those clubs there. But I need a bit of a different change where I can actually be a transformative change maker for the positive. I'm on the other end of it when people are in their chaotic time. How can I help teach people, and how can I move 1 million people and not just one at a time? And that was really coming into working online, starting to get on the stage, even starting with Toastmasters and a speaker coach, and then moving into for a cause marketing to really bring it full circle. If I'm speaking on a stage, whatever I'm speaking about, whether it's solopreneurs or how to run a virtual stage, it's always going back to my personal cause of confronting domestic violence and being able to teach people, and especially domestic violence victims, how to get on a virtual stage, could be in virtual reality because it's a bit safer in there for them. They can't always come on camera, but they can run a business and they can help pay back. And it just, grow in all directions, especially with post-traumatic growth.
So let me ask, your topic is domestic violence, and you're passionate about it. I don't think anybody just falls into that unless you've either been a victim of it, you've seen it in others. Maybe like I saw my mother go through abuse in that arena. And is it a passion because of someone close, or was it you? Or tell us about that category selection.
So I don't speak about domestic violence. I mean, I am now. It ends up being something I can speak about because I'm on the stage, and thank you for letting me share that. But I lived on the street. I had family that was violent. My mom and dad, my sister, being in law enforcement and security, being in the jail. There's a lot of abuse going on in there.
Oh, you wonder.
Yeah. So it was around me. It wasn't for me personally, thank goodness. but it was around me. It was in my family. I saw it daily. Add a few drinks to a couple cocktails to a few tourists in Vegas, and that can ruin a relationship. So it's really something that I saw, and being able to see it through all the way at the end through the court system and everything. What can happen? What can I do? And working with a friend of mine came on my stage, and we started to do, like, how can we help domestic violence victims come forward and get on camera? Well, they weren't quite ready for it, but we wanted to nurture them into an online business, and so we came together, and held a summit, a virtual reality summit. And I started working as a chairwoman. And so this way I can bring a voice to the cause. It's not always easy to talk about for people, but it's okay to talk about it enough to support, so people want to do that.
Okay, so what do you help people do today?
So I help people get seen and heard through getting on a stage. I really believe that you need to get out there, get on a podcast, get on a summit, have a workshop, hold a seminar, maybe a webinar. You're getting on to social media, especially those of us over 50. It's a different world. And so with this group of people, how do you get seen and heard? It's very easy. It's not that difficult. We make it a lot more difficult. And I don't think it's the fear. I think it's the how. How do I get seen and heard? And you know what? Come on the stage and sell your stuff. Because if you don't have a call to action, you're not in business.
So what do you sell?
What do I sell?
Yes.
I sell what my business is hosting summits. I give people a stage. So I run summits. They can get on a stage, they can pay to play, or they can have me run a summit for them.
Well, that's a fantastic service, because I think, as you mentioned, it may or may not be fear, but it's know-how. It's know-how. All the technical elements. Do you run them through Zoom, or what's the platform? Just getting right into the technical.
Oh, absolutely. So the easiest thing, the easiest least problematic way to have people show up to your stage, especially if you're new to this or your audience and group is new to it, do Zoom. Meet them where they're at. Everybody's on Zoom. People know how to do it. They can't always find the mute and unmute button, and tech changes daily, but it's still simple. It's still something we know, and a lot of people use it. It's easy to use. You can use it from any part of the world, basically. And the other thing is even going into virtual reality, but really onboarding people into the spatial platform. It's a platform where you don't need to buy the expensive equipment. You don't need to have goggles. You don't need to have a high tech, really big graphic computer that runs all these gaming graphics. You just need a link and you pop on in. You don't have to download anything. You just go, and there you are. You can come in as a guest. So the barrier to entry is very simple. I don't want to make it difficult. I like to keep it simple.
Well, and all right, so Zoom is the easy platform, and then how do they get attendees? Because that seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, since you're the expert in this category, seems to be the most challenging for an event producer, either online or offline.
It is very challenging, and it is mostly about generating leads. So the truth is, on the bottom of it, talking about it, is you're generating leads. Not everybody shows up. There will be a certain percentage that will show up to a virtual event. But if you absolutely have a theme and an avatar of your audience, like I'm running a stage in a couple of weeks, and it's about solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, so business sales, things like that, how to sell, how to direct leads. So that will generate a certain amount of leads, and there will be tickets sold for VIP. But I'm also relying on not just my audience, but the audience of the speakers to send out to their people to let them know where they're at. And a lot of these people have followers. So a lot in the last 3 months has changed for me with who's coming on the stage. So they have more followers. and
Okay.
they're a group of people. So you're really generating leads. You'll get people that come in and out of the room, but but to have, there's going to be a certain percentage that will stay through it, and the speakers will stay. And a lot of it is the second dairy thing that they'll do is connect and collaborate with the other speakers and share and do business.
That is key, is the rubbing elbows, albeit digitally, is so incredibly valuable. My life as a speaker, and I've been doing this for decades, I don't want to tell exactly how many years, has all of it has come from rubbing elbows. I've never had to market myself as a speaker. And you know what I do, and there may be an opportunity because of what you know about me for me to place you and you to place me because we know each other. And the key is to do something, because you can't create any inertia without taking that first step. Because I love the fact that you will run these summits. Do you teach them how to get leads?
Yeah, so and it's such a it's another simple thing that not everybody wants to talk about. But if you hold a summit or a webinar and you have a free gift, boom, people sign up. Now you have leads.
What's a
You
free
want to pay to
gift?
play? So a free gift can be your downloadable, which means, hey, top top three AI prompts for Chat GPT. So if I'm a tech guy and it's a tech summit, I just held a tech summit, and we had somebody that did prompts. So what are the top three prompts? You put that in to a downloadable. Maybe you add a video, and you send it to somebody. They sign up. You grab their email. It's what Facebook does, and we're just doing it on such a small scale. And it's so important to talk about it because it's a very simple way to capture leads. People sign up, they agree to be contacted by you through email, and then you can do a workflow and connect with them, talk about what you do, talk about your services. So if you're an AI super genius and you gave them a downloadable for 3 AI prompts, then perhaps you want to put them into your systematic emails to say, hey, here's another way to program your emails, here's a way to program and prompt for your social media. Have you thought maybe, or maybe they have a service that they can sell every so many emails to connect and keep that warm audience. And you want to let them know where you're at, where you're speaking, that you connected. We had some really great testimonies of people that just loves. One lady, we had 10 speakers at one of the tech summits. One of the ladies wrote a page for each speaker. Because she's a writer, but she liked the information that they gave so much. And she worked with one of the speakers, and that's what's important. That's what they're doing. They're marketing themselves.
So she wrote a page for each speaker.
Sure did. She did.
Very nice.
She actually sent me one about the event. She even bought a VIP ticket. And she was responding in, you respond in the chat because it's Zoom. But we have the ability to connect with one another, ask questions. Maybe a speaker comes on and they have a slide deck for 30 minutes, but they still stop and give them a few minutes to have some Q&A and a way to contact.
Well, that's it's so important because some people are boring. How much time should someone talk about their life story, or should they get right into the meat of their content delivery?
Well, on the stages that I run, sometimes it's a coaching summit. So it is about a relationship connection. Maybe it's a relationship coach, and there's a life story that has something that is they can get a takeaway of a change and a transformation that will be relatable. But if they can't talk about themselves without being arrogant or egotistical, where it's not a story and a journey that they're going into that will captivate the audience, then you don't really want them to go into their life story. On the other hand, if it's a business summit, it's for solopreneurs. Not many people want to hear your full life story for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I've been on those, and I was going crazy. It's like, I don't need to hear about your 2 kids and their activities. It's totally irrelevant. You're here to deliver X, and that's what I'm standing by, listening to you, waiting for the gems to come out, and there were no gems. this went on for 15 minutes. I remember it was one of the early webinars I attended. And it's like, come on, man. And I've also listened to some podcasts where it went down that route. And oh my gosh, please get to the content. At what point can I fast forward?
Yep. Yeah, and that's key, because unless people are there to hear about childcare and child raising or rendering or family matters and relationships, that's not what you're there to talk about, because you're not motivating anybody. You're not a motivational speaker, because nobody's moved, nobody's motivated. Hey, my kids left the house, they were in college, and then I started my business and here I am. That's enough.
Okay, so succinct, right to the
Yes,
point.
absolutely.
All right, makes you a person, but we don't need to hear, oh, I'm a poor person, my family had this or what. Yeah, that gets so tiresome. We all like to make you relatable, but relatable and whining will only make me want to break out the cheese. Yeah, they go together.
They're very good that way. And the other thing is if we hold domestic violence summits, there is a relatableness in the family matter and the story that may have happened and the journey of change and post-traumatic growth, but there's a place to go. And if you're in business, and I'm here to get AI prompts or hear about how to sell high tickets, that has no relationship to me. I want to talk about prosperity and money, and then maybe I could take my kids on, take a family on vacation, or take a vacation away from the family, whatever it is, right?
Sure,
Depends
sure.
on your family.
So the pay to play model is newer, where speakers pay to be on a platform. Tell us about that.
Well, and that's an important thing, and I know it's changing, but people didn't talk about where you were paying and when you pay. So if you're speaking on maybe a TEDx, and the last person I checked with that did the application for the TEDx, it cost about 5,000, 3 to 5,000 just to get the TEDx application done, because the intricate way it has to be done, who it has to go through, any fast forward it, he had connections, whatever. You're paying for the people he knows. You're paying that you're going to get guaranteed on the stage, and he could guarantee that.
Oh, you
They got
mean
on
the
the stage.
TEDx organizer, the person that
Yes.
teaches people how to get on TEDx?
Yes. How to get on TEDx, how to fill out the application, what's all that good stuff, right?
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yes. And so there's a few people that do that, and
Yes.
they've done it successfully. And then you have to get paid, then you pay to get on the stage, and then there's a lot of payments down the road. Well, you're going to get hit on the backside, right? You're going to have to pay. And you may not be ready for a TEDx talk just yet, unless you're experienced. You should be able to memorize a few things, move around, be comfortable with who you are, get on the stage, have good presence. There's a lot of teaching and training and practice that goes into that besides the money. So it is money in the long run. With a pay to play stage, it's more of just an upfront charge, a simple charge for speakers to get on the stage. I do pay to play because I don't require people to email. I don't require them to have 5,000 people on their email list. I'm not going to check it. I don't even check your stats and your statistics. I'm not going to require you to have 20 to 30 signups, because half those signups are fake emails anyway. They don't show up, they don't buy anything. They're not going to be there. They're not turning their cameras on for you to sell to. So that let's not even pretend. The other thing with that is that if you don't have a pay to play stage, there's quite a few stages and a few virtual stages that I've seen even recently, where there's this really killer marketing chick, and she worked with maybe like Nike and Coke and companies like that. And now she's working one-to-one, and she gives really great advice and some good takeaways. And she's very honest with who she's going to work with. And then there's a relationship sex coach, and then there's a salesperson, and then there's a snake charmer. Those don't match. Who's going to stay for that summit? Who's going to buy anything from these people, because you're so lost? The conversation and the connection of your speakers isn't there. They don't all have the same avatar.
Right. Well, they're also in completely different ponds.
Yes. And your audience is not even going to jive with them. They're going to lose. They're not going to. Might be bored with some of it. You
Well,
know.
so your service, let me get this clear. You don't worry about how many people they have on their list. You don't worry about how many people enroll because of their list. You do to give them let's say the emails and or the posters to place on Facebook or their LinkedIn or what have you to attract people that are the right avatar for attendees. So you charge them a fee and then you run the ads. You're responsible for bringing in the traffic. Is that your model,
Well,
Nicole?
absolutely. Well, I do. They will email
Mm-hmm.
because there are some people that have an audience and a tribe that follow them.
Okay.
So it's more of people that are leaders and successful in business and have customers that I've already connected with and know that they have a tribe and people that will pay. So they will do that. I do the whole media kit, an AI generated commercial podcast. So there's some media around it. That's what they're paying for. But they're also paying to have some skin in the game, that we're not going to get people that are going to dine and dash, come in, say their speech, come in late, be really boring, have no concentration, no actual tips, nothing in their speech. Maybe they're talking about their tennis shoes. Who knows? It has no relatability to the audience and they're just fly by night in and out. So it's more of a professional level to say, hey, I'm going to do all the work behind the scenes. I just ask that you come and be present and professional and do you, so there's less stress on their end. So they're getting all the pictures, and they're getting all the media. So that's what they're paying for. So there is something that they're paying for plus the audience plus the connections.
No, I get it. Now I've run some summits myself, and I mean they're a lot of work. And I ran the ads, and this was a deliverable for a group that went through coaching on how to write their books. This was a deliverable I had, and I said, okay, I'm going to produce a virtual stage. They were all Singaporean authors. And then in order to draw, I brought in some well-known authors, people who were already well-known in the author space, a man named Ken Honda, who sold 9 million copies of his books out of Japan. Yeah, he's huge. And he was what he called the headliner. So he obviously didn't pay because he was so big. Tell me about the people who pay versus who don't. It's a little bit subjective, but I think it's necessary to use the drawing card to get attendees as well.
100%. There are communities that I work with, and there's one person on one of my stages. Actually, he's been on my stage a few times, but he's a community referral person. So he'll pay for that, right? So he'll pay. You can always say maybe there's one or two speakers that don't pay.
Correct.
Because they're going to give quality, they're going to give back. There's a reciprocity. Maybe there's a referral or there's a collaboration and money or something. So you can always do that. People who don't want to pay, if that's what you're stating, and that's okay. That's not their stage. That's not for them because they're the fly by night, and there's no way we're going to be able to work together anyway.
No, but what I was referring to is a celebrity speaker, which helps elevate the credibility of the speakers who aren't as well known yet. Because there is a process. There's an ascension model. Because if you've just left corporate America or corporate wherever you come from, you now say, I want to be an authority. You got to pay your dues in order to establish that authority. And if someone has already established it, whomever that is a big person. Let's say Gary V, who's a very omnipresent social media participant and speaker. If he's on your stage, you can claim I have shared the stage with Gary V, or I've stared, and that person shouldn't pay, in just my opinion, because he's a drawing card for not just attendees, but for the paying speakers who want to use that as bragging rights.
100%. And now, yes, because if you don't have them on your stage for free, you got to look at it. Is it that a return on some type of investment that you're working in there? Because if I had to pay for Gary, let's just say Gary V,
he would charge
me an arm and a leg. But even if I paid for him, what is the draw? That's marketing.
Yes.
So what's your marketing budget? Absolutely. We've had stages. We did a live event for confronting domestic violence last year in Del Mar. It was our first event launch. And we had Elizabeth Vargas from Housewives of Beverly Hills or Orange County or something like that. But it was a draw for us to have her. Plus, she shared an actual story, which it made it everything more relatable and was very public with it, which we would have never caught anywhere else. It was great news for us. It was great marketing. We someone talked to her live on TV, so she was on the news. That brought more publicity. We had her physically there in the place. She spoke, she was our MC. But even though we paid to have her, she ended up donating twice as much to the cause. And so when you have these people, what are you bringing? And so for my stage, I have a gentleman coming into one of my summits that is a salesman, but he does salesman at such a high caliber that companies for over 20 plus 30 years, probably even more, he does it at such a high caliber that companies paid him to do the sales. And he might not be branded and everybody's looking for him, but there's a caliber and attraction of people that he has, that he's bringing, and a list that he's generated. And there's something very quality that he's bringing to the stage. So yes, absolutely, there are people that do that or teach something of value or from a community, and I can say, hey, this here's a community of there's a gentleman also on the stage. Then he's got a community of 5,000 plus people. He just opened his doors and he's a connector. So he does referrals. And so he has people in his house that he can refer. And when he says, hey, come to my stage, boom, they're there.
Right.
So yes, absolutely. That's the caliber of people you've got to have on your stage and do an exchange somewhere or pay for them to come in because it's marketing. It's a lot easier than running an ad that nobody will see.
Yeah, and it gets expensive because you're paying at some level for someone to show up. What is the acquisition cost of an attendee? And it gets into the metrics. So tell me, how do people get in touch with you, Nicole, in order to have you run these events, which you claim aren't fearful? They're not fear driven. That it's the know how. And yeah, you fear what you don't know how to do.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Everything is under Nicole Borghi. So if you type my name in, NicoleBorghi.com, and I'm on there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on everything is in my name, so I'm easy to find. And if you're watching this, you'll see the little sign behind me. It's got my name, Nicole Borghi, and you type that in, and I'm everywhere. I'm findable.
Well, you're going to be in the notes, but I'm going to spell out your name, Nicole. Easy that part. The last name is Borghi. Not everybody would understand that spelling. And what's the
Yeah.
derivation? Out of curiosity, I always like to ask that. Is that
Well,
French?
it's Italian.
Okay.
And it's from the House of Borghese, so you can't get any crazier or flagrant or than that. The House of
All
Borghese.
right.
So if you know your Italian history, it's a little bit fun.
Okay.
So yeah. Hey, it's got some mobster vibes back there. So hey, maybe it gives me a little more street cred than living on the street and fighting on the street. So
Well, it most certainly does. Nicole, you've been a great guest. And what can people learn from you, or what is it a giveaway? Do you have something that people will be compelled to give you their email address?
absolutely. So my lead magnet, as we talked to
Yes,
before, is virtual stages. So there is a downloadable that will give you some tips and tricks on how to get on a virtual stage and what to do or what not to do. And you're always learning and growing, and you can see how easy it is and that you're probably checking off all the boxes. So just get on another stage.
I love it. I love it. I know that I can refer people to you because your service is valuable for the up and coming expert, the up and coming authority, or the seasoned authority who wants more exposure. Because there was a great marketer named Dan Kennedy that I was in his mastermind some years ago. And I asked Dan in my early years, I said, so when do we stop marketing? He said, never. Never. You just keep
So
going.
true.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Vee is a well-known person, but he doesn't stop.
No.
Alex Hormozy doesn't stop. These folks that you see every day all over, Grant Cardone, he doesn't stop. These people push all the way down on the gas pedal to go, go, go. And you help people get that gas pedal in operation. So I love that. I love that. Great guest, amazing authority, hence the title of my show. Nicole, thank you for your time today. And I will certainly make your contact information available for everybody. And we will absolutely have you back in the near future.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll
Thank
see you
thank
all
you.
in the next show of Amazing Authorities. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to mitchcarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.